Roland triple hybrid 64 audio u12t all BA, Empire Ears Legend X, dynamic drivers, balanced armatures, ES12 Art Magic EST drivers, balanced armature drivers. This is how I see them. See if you guys can get a good view of that. How I thought that this was gonna go before I actually sat down and listened to 3 songs with all of them. And I've been doing this for like 2 or 3 days because you can't really do this at one time. I wrote the Roland down first. I think that's a mental tell. The Empire Ears second, that's another tell. This was like my top for a while. This is new. I put this first, I put that second. Art Magic, and it's multiple profiles. I put third, and then 640 u12t. I put fourth. I think that this was an indication of what I expected was going to happen without thinking that when I wrote it down. But after I looked at what it turned out to be, and I thought, this is not what I expected, I looked at my list and I thought, that's what I expected. And I actually wrote it in that order. So this is, we give ourselves away in many, many ways, and I did it right here. And then when I got to the end and added it up, I was like, that's not what I thought. And then I looked to the left and thought, there is what I thought right there, in the actual order I expected it to be. So this is what I thought, and this is what I really thought. 2 different things. Same brain. Expectation, bias, it's real. And that has nothing to do with money, though that is another one too. Let's talk about money first. Roland is $1,000. The Empire Ears $2,200. Art Magic is about $1,400, and 640 u12t is $2,100. They're all over $1,000. These are double their Chinese peers, and I'll not go beyond that because the size of your wallet, your budget, your job, your wife, your girlfriend's level of, you do this again, I'm going to break up with you. Like, that's, I don't know where you are at that stuff, so I'll leave it there. On quality, I'd say number 1 would be the 64 Auto U12T. It's made out of metal. It's very well made. If I stepped on it, assuming I didn't break the stem, I think it would survive. The other 3 are varying levels of not being the 64 audio. So second I put the Roland because it's new. It's got the same material basically as the Empire Ears and the Art Magic. The Empire Ears has a complicated crossover network, and it scares me about like how I would if that thing was dropped on the floor, would that have any effect? That concerns me. So quality, I can't say, but my concern level would be this would be the worst. Next to that would be the Art Magic because it's got the 3 dip switches. Like if I drop that, would that have a problem? So in quality, I would put this first because I don't think dropping that would do anything. 2, I don't think the Roland would have any problems either because just my image. I think the crossover network and the way that they do the exploded view of the Empire Ears, and then I'll explain at the end personal thoughts. So this sits there for a reason. So number 1 would be 64 audio. In bass, I would put Roland as number 1 because it's flat. It will give me the feedback of 6 dB if I do the input. So I input 6 dB at 55 hertz, I get it back. 4 dB, I get it back. 8, I get it back. I'm getting to the edge of what am I doing this for. But it's very, 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 very flexible, and I can hear that. The feedback from the input is very clear, and its stock form is brilliant. The Empire Ears bass is number 2, but that is debatable depending on your opinion about how bass should be delivered. It can be bombastic and quite overwhelming for some people. It's not something I think classical music would be this set for that. I think probably no, but it's really good for me. But I'm somebody that loves bass, so I will put that at number 2. The Art Magic, so we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. ES12, it's got multiple profiles. It can be flat, it can be quite elevated, slightly elevated. It can have some roll off in the sub bass. You can put this where you want to put it. So I'll put that at 3. 64 out of u12t is BA bass. It's done well. It's slightly elevated out of the box. Done very well. Something that audiophiles and purists would, I guess, seem to like. So, but personally, I'll put that at 4 because I find the other 3 to be better than that. In the mids, Roland again, number 1. But that's completely related to the bass because the bass to the mids is an absolute ruler. It's totally flat. The mid presentation is absolutely, as we say, unfucked with. It's brilliant. It's really, really good. Number 2 would be the 64 Auto U12T. The transition from bass to mids and then from mids to early treble is really, really done well. There's no perceived loss of info, pronounced scoop, nothing, no such thing going on right there. So I'd put these at number 2. The Art Magic ES12, it's got different profiles, so I can have a V, I can have a U, I can have a reasonably stable mid frequency, so I can do lots of different stuff with that. So I put that at 3. The Empire Ears, because of the amount of bass that it's putting out, it's tough on the mids, though these are being done by crossover network. Your ability to perceive the mids over the din of the bass can be quite difficult. And if you own these like I do, and I bought these twice because I love them, you know that that's a thing you got to put up with. But that's the beauty of them. Really, they're like a fun audiophile set. Like I'm gonna get all fucked up and just tune out. These would be really great for that. But your mids are never going to be like, these are the best mids I ever heard in my life, said no Legend X owner ever that I could imagine. That would be my ranking. In the treble, I put Roland number 1. EST, you might look at this thing, oh, number one. It is my favorite, and it's there for a reason. And I think that the EST drivers are really becoming, the people are starting to get it. There's no gimmick with this. Your favorite company is going to be using the EST drivers because they do their job really, really, really outstandingly well. Number 2 in treble would be the Empire Ears, which you'd think the mids suck. Why would the treble? That crossover network in the treble is giving you sparkle and something like Boston's Foreplay that transitioned to. It's been such a long time. The digital raindrops and the sparkle. The reason that you would get stoned or whatever, and then really enjoy these Empire Ears is because of this bass and because of the treble. And the mids are, boom, 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 the sparkle. So I love the treble. Number 3, another 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the Art Magic, because I can do, again, many profiles with this. I can do dark tune, I can do bright tune, I can do reasonably stable, harmonious type bump. I've got a lot of flexibility with this. And then 4th in the treble would be 64 out of U12T, which is kind of shocking for some. I find it to be odd with hi-hats, because this is where the music library that you listen to becomes an issue. Hi-hats are something that I focus on with OCD. If they are presented in a way that's odd, I can't. So that would put it at 4 out of these 4 items. In stage, I would put the 64 out of U12T as being the biggest presenter of stage. Now remember, stage is a psychoacoustic illusion. All of these items are stuck in your ear and essentially are like putting hearing protection in your ear. You might have little holes for the dynamic driver, but you're not really going to catch a lot of what's going on the outside. So to give yourself a sense of space, it's done with tweaks or talent. And I think that in overall stage that this would be the biggest one. I think that the Roland has a slightly relaxed but detail-ridden, so the stage doesn't seem to suffer at all, in my opinion. The Art Magic, multiple profiles again. They're all 3s. I didn't know this when I was writing this. These numbers just came out. Like, I think that's better. I think that's better. This is all 3. And it's written in 3, so I guess I got that one right. And then 4 would be the Empire Ears, because of the bass, the bombastic, the seemingly maybe slightly back mids would lead to what would seem to be an intimate, that's a polite word, intimate stage, filled with tons of detail, but still not a stage monster at all. And then compared to the other 3, it would be ranked number 4. in overall detail, I would say the Empire ears are number one, which actually I would put this with an asterisk, because while I can catch all of the little musical cues, including stuff in the mids, via the crossover network, it's proof that the crossover system works, but you've got to struggle to catch it. But how much detail does that crossover network really work? It does. It's why people can. It's why you can take a set that's got bass that's this potent, charge to over $2,000 for it, and still be highly regarded and bought by many people, because at the end of the day, it does somehow through the crossover network get most all those details. And while the mids might seem to be back compared to other sets like I'm ranking now, they're there. You can catch them, but it's a little bit harder than the other three on this list. But it's a detail beast. It's this plus the treble and the bass that makes this the popular item that it is. It's not the mids, and it does give a intimate presentation, but it's like being in a club. It's like being in a club with a good sound system. So I put detail at number one, which is, people won't agree with that, but there's a reason why this is the price it is, and it's still considered to be outstanding. And it sure as hell is not because of the mids. Legend X owners, chime in if you'd like. You're not talking about the famous mids on this set. You might be talking about the sparkle, though. You might be talking about the bass. You probably won't be talking about the stage, but when people talking about can it get details, you probably would. I'm telling people you can get them, but watch out for this, because this depends on taste. And number two would be the Roland. It's close between these two, but that sparkle. But this gives me everything. All the OCD cues are there. It's exceptional. It's when I thought the ESTs are not a gimmick; they're actually a real thing. That I put this at number one, because everything else shines. I'll put this at number two, actually. Co-number one would be the 64 Audio u12t. That's why I'm putting an asterisk with this. If there are people that don't like this kind of bass, and they really value their mids, and they want that detail, the other route to go, in my opinion, would be the 64 Audio u12ts. You get your mids very well, you get a very nice stage presentation, and you do get a lot of detail retrieval. And 64 Audio did do a really good job with this set, so I would say that these would be, depending on if you're like, I don't like elevated bass, this would have more detail. I don't mind thumping bass. This would. Believe it or not, crossover system does in fact work. Art Magic, it's a great set. It's got all of these are great with detail. This is where I'd put that. So that would be that. On the others, I would say Roland is they're shipping with cables that are not ideal, but I was told today that they're gonna, with the Rolands, and the people that have purchased them already are gonna get a higher quality cable sent with them. That's something that should have been done, but they didn't do that. So that's other. So Hustle is, I like Hustle. Hustle is, and I don't mean like a card hustle. I mean like, what do you need? Okay, we can do that, like kind of thing. Like if you say, hey, if you keep sending the same cables you sell with $200 units, with $1,000 units, you're shooting your foot, man. What are you doing? And we're fixing that, we're changing that, and then the people that already bought the Roland, they're gonna get the. I like that. To this point, they seem like they got it. Empire ears. If I opened up all four of these sets and I was presented with a different internal design than is advertised, I would be least shocked if it was this company that was throwing the wool over people's eyes. And this is related to mails with the owner, and event where the commission was bypassed from Ethan Groover directly to the president of the company because they didn't want to pay and I participated in that, but the way that I fixed it is, if you look at my video for that set that I did get at a reduced price, and Ethan Groover was X'd out of the commission, I went ahead and sold that set for the same that I bought it for, because I felt like shit about that. And the person that bought it doubted that they were authentic and actually contacted Empire Ears directly because they got serial numbers on the side. And so the guy was like, why are you selling it so cheap? And I said, because I got it cheap. And then I went out and bought my own set. This wood covered Legend X is not the one that's in the video. If you go check it, that set was gone because that was super, super uncool. If you know Ethan Groover and you see this video, tell him to take a look at it and tell him that sometime soon I'm going to get into the full story of that. So be careful when you deal with these people. All of that smiling in pictures at can jams and all that glad handing, sketchy. The Art Magic, which is a branch of BGVP, they got to get their shit together. They made me look like a fucking moron with the DM6 because I showed a graph of the DM6. I did it live. You can go see you can type DM6 graph and see it, and it's one of the most balanced sets that I've ever graphed in my life. And that's not the same set that Critical had. So unit variance was huge. Their replies, like these guys say, oh, we're going to fix the cable. The people in the back, like, boom, 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 it's going to get done. I believe it. That's what service is. Screwing your own workers. Running into issues and being told, stop everything and fix the issues and then don't repeat it because you're gonna lose your image. So far, everything with this, but I'd be an asshole not to point out to people that are unfamiliar that these people they should have fired everybody at the top because they got such brilliant gear. It's a shame that they've got to be associated with past faux pas, mistakes, blatant stupidity. But that's what it is, and your history is your history. You can only try to get better, which is everybody gets a second chance. So I'm putting this in with the 4 because it's brilliantly tuned. It's got the most flexible dip switch setting options I've ever seen, and I genuinely love it. Please don't fuck it up. There we go. 64 audio u12t. Good quality stuff. The Forte is the $3,500 version, which is $1,000 more. If I had one or the other, I would take this in a second. I don't think that Forte in any fucking way is better than the U12T, though it's $1,000 more. These people are famous for being assholes to other people at can jams, people that come in with sci-fi stuff. I've repeatedly heard, without provocation or saying that I have an opinion about 64, they would say, hey, you know what? I saw them at a can jam, and those people are assholes. I said, take a look at mine. It's like some sci-fi set, and they kind of blow it off, laugh. They're the symbol of snob audiophile. Like if you've got a stereotypical image of people with their nose up like there's some kind of fucking thing because they've got a customized, CIEM version with their favorite fucking anime character, these would be the dicks that do that. So keep that in mind. What they charge doesn't equal that it's the best of, so try to get other opinions before you proceed and think that their highest priced item is actually their best one. And they have water boys, this company, and this company too. Maybe these companies do too, and I'm one of them, except I'm not really a fan of one of their, and I wasn't a fan of the previous S series, 50% of them. So if I'm a water boy, I'm spilling a lot of water. These guys got good water boys. They carry that bucket from the beginning to the end, and they do it very well. So they got water boys. Going down, so then I just added it up. I didn't think about this, but I thought just if lower is better, and this got a 9, 17, 18, 13. So if I add that up, then Roland is my favorite, which is no shock. The U12T got 13. That would be my second. It got number 1 in stage, got number 1 in detail, got number 1 in quality of build. Just wasn't thinking about the total package. U12T. Empire Ears Legend X would be third by a margin. It lost in quality. You can question that. Stage, I don't think you can question that. And mids, I don't think you can question that either. Because is anybody out there claiming that the mids of the Legend X are exceptional or that the stage is huge? So that's what hurt that one. And what hurt the other one, the ES12? It's relative to the other 4. It seems to be coming in third every single time. Didn't even look at that until after I did what I did. So it comes up with that total. If you were to, the only possible change because of the numbers would be the Empire Ears and the ES switching places, but I can't see a place where I would switch that. So this is my conclusion for this 4 sets. Because of those conclusions, I highly recommend the Roland, and a lot of people that have gotten it are loving it. They're getting customized versions because it's enough for them to think, even though I can't sell a custom, I love these that much. So if instead of just my name, my voice, my words, it's other people. U12Ts are fucking dope. They're getting a custom cable, like after this video. Empire Ears, I love them. These two are better in my opinion. And then I think this is awesome, and I think in just sheer flexibility it's the best of the bunch. But that company's got a lot to prove. And how many minutes is that? Holy fuck, 20 minutes. Okay, I'm out.